I ran away with the circus. But I'm going to get back to that. When I was entering middle school, my family moved from New York City to the tiny town of Margaretville in the Catskills. I'd been exposed to arts and culture in the city. So when I got there, I pursued my interests. I took ballet class, I joined the gymnastics club, I skied, I ran track, I joined the dramatic society, and was I dramatic. I played in the marching band, and I loved making things. My mom had taught me how to sew, and my dad taught me not to fear power tools. But I was an awkward kid. I was really shy. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. So creative activity was my salvation. By 7th grade, I was already drifting toward trouble. Luckily, I had teachers and mentors outside the home who reminded me that I was smart and creative, and they showed me ways to channel that energy into the positive. As an older teen, though, I began to drift away from those positive role models, and I got lost. I looked around and I didn't see people living successfully as artists in Margaretville, and all of my peers were just dying to get out of there, to find their paths. After high school graduation, I stayed in Margaretville. I was stalled out. I waited tables. I worked as a professional ski instructor at Bel Air for a few years. I gigged as a graphic artist. And in an attempt to get a real grown-up job, I got my real estate license. So not me. Finally, in 1993, I remembered who I was, and I enrolled in the Fashion Institute of Technology's Fine Arts and Metals program. I concentrated on jewelry design and fabrication, and I used fire and tools and my hands to raise forms from my imagination. I was not stalled out anymore. I was flying. Right before graduation, though, with all of my final projects looming, I was struck by a car in the East Village, and I had my right hand completely crushed. And then about 9 months later, while still recovering from this, I had another accident and broke the left wrist. This was devastating. My hands were completely useless. I had lost the means of making things, of making creative expression, and of making a living. I dropped out of school. I turned away all the freelance work that I was taking from other jewelers, and I put my own design business on hold, and I almost lost my apartment. This was the best thing that ever happened to me. Casts off, I started waiting tables at a round-the-clock restaurant in the East Village on the graveyard shift. And that is where the magic happened, because I met and fell in love with a fire eater. What else could I do? He was a juggler, and he had a degree from Hampshire College in anarchist theory and pranks in public spaces. I pestered him until he finally agreed to teach me to eat fire. And finally, one snowy night, it happened. Out in the back alley, next to the dumpster, with snow falling. I'll never forget that first whiff of fuel in the January night. And from that first spark burst a lifelong passion. We left around the clock to go to New Orleans to street perform for Mardi Gras, and we never looked back. And there began a journey that has wound through 20 years. The family has expanded to include over 400 international artists, and we've bounced around the globes on circus travels because that was the genesis of the Bindlestiff Family Cirkus. We're not your grandpa's circus, where we spell it a little different. It's a capital C and a K in the middle. And that's just because we're a little quirky, a little irreverent, deep roots in the New York City underground, but always at the heart, a firm commitment to the history and tradition and skill of American popular entertainment. And for us, the most important aspect of what we do is that circus is a means of building community. In 2005, Keith and I found it increasingly difficult to live and make work in New York City. And it's the typical story of artists priced out of their living and working spaces. First the East Village, then Williamsburg. We had nowhere to go. So we started driving around. We looked in eastern Pennsylvania and western Maryland, all up and down the Hudson Valley. We literally drew concentric circles on the map outside of New York City, the ever-widening radii of which were determined by real estate prices. But I had heard about Hudson, and I knew that this was a place that had a great grassroots community movement. It had a thriving creative economy with shops that were unique, and craftspeople, and farms, and beautiful galleries and artists. And I knew that it was a lot more like the city than the upstate that I once knew. I had just wondered about becoming another wave of gentrifiers. We ended up here, though, and in 2005 bought a house, little circus casa. The first 2 years, we drove back and forth to the city every week, gigging and teaching in after-school programs that the circus started. But I really wanted to make roots here. I kind of wanted to run away from the circus and join a town. So, why not reach out to youth as a way to become part of the fabric of the city of Hudson? Circus is my path. It is truly the medium through which I can explore my creative impulses, physical discipline, true collaboration, community. It allows me to explore my passions and even my fears. So, I wanted to become part of this. My first introduction to my youngest neighbors of grade school age came through some of you that are here today. The Opera House, Time and Space Limited, Operation Unite, and the Mental Health Association of Columbia and Greene Counties reached out to us and invited us to bring the circus to their youth participants. Hudson's arts and community organizations are gleaming threads that bind us. By bringing creative folks together with children and families to explore Hudson's changing identity. By giving youth leadership roles among their peers and challenging them to envision broader roles for themselves in the community and in the world. These threads weave together in a great magic, shining safety net that stands ready as kids leap and take flight towards their futures. In 2009, Joe Herwick of the Hudson Opera House introduced me to Trudy Beicht, who was then the director of the Department of Youth Programming right across this alley. And here it seemed that there was a group of kids that had fallen through this net. So, that's where I've unpacked my clown car. I bring juggling clubs, stilts, tumbling mats, clown noses, acrobatic mats, trapezes, rollabolas, rolling globes, and all of the gifts that circus has brought to me. Courage, discipline, community, a presence, a voice, strength. I'm passionate about working with youth in Hudson. I see circus as a path to personal empowerment and social change. Kids experience flight literally and figuratively. And now I need to check my notes. No, there's nothing else in there. Oh yeah, what do I get out of it? I get affirmation. Because when college freshman Nakira used her experience in my circus class to learn PowerPoint for her computer lab, that felt amazing. And I get support. I was struggling to learn how to ride unicycle backwards, and my 14-year-old student, Brandon, offered to help me, because he had just nailed it. I get inspiration because 13-year-old Tiara emails me and Facebooks me all the time. When's juggling club starting again? And that motivates me to make that happen week after week. And I get connection because I can walk anywhere in this community and I can know people and faces that I wouldn't have met otherwise. And I'll be walking down the street and I'll hear randomly, "Hey, circus girl!" Everywhere I go, every day. Makes me feel good. I also have youth and young adults and teens who have aged out of my after-school program who work with me as counselors in training. They sell merchandise at our shows. They walk on stilts at community events with us. They even come over and stick labels on mailings for our fundraising letter. Are they going to run away with the circus? Probably not. But they're making a little money, and they get to see how a small arts business grows. One thing that really bugs me, though, and I love Hudson, I love it dearly, but one thing that I noticed right away was this weird void, this absence, and that was, where are the young people? Where are the teens and young adults who are from Hudson? On my daily walks up and down Warren Street, I'd wonder, because where I was living in South Williamsburg, the streets are thick with teens fluffing their feathers for each other. And the north side of Williamsburg and Greenpoint is just swarming with 20-somethings. But where is that age group here? Why is Warren Street so barren of this group? I feel that there are great opportunities for school-age kids here. But what about after graduation, outside of this safety net? What are they doing with all of the tremendous skills and personal growth that they've gotten from participating in these dynamite youth programs? By now, 2014, I've seen 8th grade juggling students of mine go on to college, and I wonder if they, like me, will have to leave their hometown to find inspiration. Or do they feel valued and connected enough in this community to come back and make a future? Because that's the void I'm seeing. Folks from Hudson taking a place in Hudson's creative economy. I don't want to be part of a wave of gentrification. Warren Street is the commercial center of Hudson, but can we make it the living heart of the city? Can this be the place where Hudson's diverse community pulses with life? As entrepreneurs, as artists, as creators, as risk takers, we're in a unique position to share the things that we've learned through trial and error with Hudson's youth. We may help them imagine themselves in Hudson's future. Sharing my love of the circus has made an incalculably richer life for me here. And for Bindlestiff, it's helped expand our organization's mission and our capabilities. Reaching out as a mentor has helped to anchor this newcomer much more deeply in this adopted community of mine. I only hope that it may help Hudson's most valuable natural resource, its youth, know its worth. Thank you.